see, with this step just over my shoulder here, we can see many of the family members are now coming off the plane. There are also some pipers who are coming into position. There is ambulances which have taken up a position at the rear of the plane as well. So obviously the Chief Secretary for Hong Kong has done what he had to do, which was comfort the family members. They've done the immigration checks, and now this ceremony here to mark the arrival of the 8 dead victims of this shooting in the Philippines will now get underway fairly shortly. We can see the dignitaries lining up in rows in front of the plane as we wait for the coffins to be brought round from the other side of this specially chartered flight. And this ceremony here at Hong Kong Airport will get underway shortly, we believe. It's very important to have these kind of markings for countries and for communities to deal with these kinds of tragedies. We've seen it time and time again in China, whether it be natural disasters or whether it be these kinds of shootings. This is an important milestone for people to deal with these very difficult events. And so that's what we're about to see here right now at Hong Kong Airport, Christy.
In Hong Kong, flags have been flying at half-staff. And tell us more how, up to this moment, and the moment that we're waiting for, the ceremony to take place there on the tarmac at the Hong Kong International Airport, how have people in Hong Kong been expressing their sorrow and expressing their grief?
Well, yeah, probably the most poignant moment when you think about Hong Kong and you think about the financial markets and you think about this city being all about money. Well, probably the most poignant moment happened yesterday when on the stock exchange they paused for a minute's silence to remember those who died. As you mentioned, they've lowered the flags to half-staff. They've set up condolence books around the city in the 18 different districts for those who want to leave a message, who feel compelled to write something for those who died and for the victims of this tragedy. And in this new age of social media, the government has actually set up some Facebook pages as well. That is something new, I guess, which is a direct byproduct of the social media age, especially here in Hong Kong, where a lot of people are very internet savvy. So there has been those memorial services. There's been traditional services, quite interesting today, in the Catholic Church and for the Filipino community here. There was also a memorial service as well, and there will be continued memorial services as the days go on to remember those who lost their lives in the Philippines on Monday night, Christy.
And right now behind you, John, we're looking at a woman slowly making her way down the stairs. She has disembarked from that plane. I can only guess that she is one of the survivors of Monday's hostage crisis. John.
Yeah, when we spoke to the officials here to try and work out exactly who would be on the plane, they are not giving away a lot of information. One of the things which is very understandable in moments like this is the privacy of those who have already been through so much. And the Hong Kong government, the officials here have been very cognizant of that. And so they're not giving us a lot of information, understandably. But we can make a very safe assumption that the woman coming off the plane now, as many of those other people, we saw them, they were wearing civilian clothes. They were in short shirts, in what you'd be wearing if you were on a tour through the historic district of Manila. If you're on a vacation, we saw them as they disembarked from this plane, the family members, the survivors of those who were killed, the relatives of those who were killed, as they slowly get off this plane now. So yes, the survivors are here. Unfortunately, we can't tell you a lot about them. The government here has been very mindful of their privacy, Christy.
Has the government mentioned anything about psychological counseling or trauma assistance to be offered to these survivors once they touch down and return home?
Well, in fact, that assistance was offered in the Philippines by the Hong Kong government. They sent trauma counselors, we're told. They sent psychiatrists as well as medical staff to try and care for these people, to talk them through exactly what happened, because this story will move on. There will be funerals, the headlines will change, stories will come and go, but for those, obviously, whose relatives were killed on Monday night, this will be with them for the rest of their lives. And the most difficult days, psychiatrists and trauma counselors will tell you, are still yet to come. And the government has been addressing that, making offers of post-traumatic stress counseling available to those who are caught up in this shootout on Monday night, and ensuring that not only their physical well-being is being taken care of, but also their emotional and mental well-being is being looked at as well, Christy.
And we just watched a live video of another survivor, another former hostage walking down those stairs. He left that aircraft, his right hand bandaged, left arm completely bandaged as well. And John, just to step back a bit and the bigger picture and the terrible story here, these are people who last week, they left on a holiday tour to the Philippines, and they've come back today. They've returned with caskets and with horrible memories of what they experienced just 2 days ago.
Yeah, well, you know, some people will tell you when you go to the Philippines, you take your chances. It's a country where violence is common. It's not as bad as it was, but it's still not good. Yeah, if you look at the numbers, in fact, Christy, let's just pause for a moment.
A solemn moment here in Hong Kong, witnessed on the tarmac there at the Hong Kong International Airport. A tragic homecoming for the victims, the survivors of Monday's deadly hostage siege in Manila. Looking at live pictures of the plane that was chartered by the Hong Kong government to carry back the survivors of Monday's hostage taking, as well as those who did not survive. The 4 Hong Kong women, 4 Hong Kong men, a total of 8 coffins brought back to Hong Kong. You're watching live coverage from CNN. We'll be back right after this.